the entertainment industry, it is a personality-driven business. So at a 9 to 5, if you're working in corporate, you can hate your staff members, right? You can hate all the staff members, right? But you either quit the job or you show up. But replacing a human, no. Even the art that you see, like some of the videos, it's still lifeless. And people go, man, this looks real. Keyword, look real.
But it's not real, yeah.
I do what I do because the world sees us as how America portrays us.
Yeah, and America itself is a strong power in the world.
The most influential.
What would happen if you treated your creative path like a business and your purpose like a mission? So in today's episode, we dive into the real blueprint behind discipline, longevity, and sustainable success. We also break down how martial arts level focus helps you thrive in competitive spaces, how social media and AI can amplify your voice instead of diluting it, and why ownership and representation matter now more than ever. And the person walking this journey with me is someone who I deeply respect, Troy Skinner. He is a Brooklyn-born actor, director, and entrepreneur with over 25 years in the industry. He's a world-building creative who builds and leads Dark Ant Entertainment, the studio behind the award-winning film A New Life, which has earned over 6 million streams. He's an NAACP Image Award nominee, a World Entertainment Awards Best Writer winner, a martial artist, and a coach who builds disciplined, purpose-driven artists. So this conversation is packed with insight, mindset, and real strategy for actors, filmmakers, entrepreneurs, and anyone ready to build something that lasts. Lean in. This conversation will shift how you create, lead, and thrive. What's up, fam? Before we get into this conversation, let me say this. Look, I know it's a thing, right? But if what we do here on this channel speaks to you, if it lifts you, centers you, or helps you see your life a little clearer, I invite you to like the video and subscribe so you stay connected. And if you want these conversations with you beyond YouTube, download the Thrival Journey podcast on your favorite RSS platform. It is a small ask that goes a long way, and it really, truly helps us create the kind of content that doesn't just entertain, but actually supports your journey of growth and alignment. So hit that like, subscribe. Let's breathe in, get present, step into the conversation. Troy Skinner, we just talked just a little bit, man, but I really truly want to welcome you to the podcast, man. Welcome to the Thrival Journey.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate you.
Absolutely, man. I mean, we go back, I don't know, mid 2000s? Yeah. We met in Bobby Chance's class, the legendary Bobby Chance.
Expressions Unlimited,
man. How have you been?
I've been well, man. With counter to everything else that's been going on in the world and in life, just keep pressing forward. Today, I came up with a slogan of the keys to success, right? Or a recipe to success. I will, I must, and I can. Not necessarily in that order. I think the whole slogan, because I'm making up a whole bunch of slogans for t-shirts.
Okay.
And so I think it was I can, I must, I can, I will, I must. And those are like some of the things that we keep in mind. I was in the shower and that came to me and I was like, yeah, okay, I got to put that on a shirt. So that's definitely something I'm going to put on a shirt. Right now I got about a good 6 of them that I'm going to put on a shirt.
You got a t-shirt coming up? What's going on?
That's the plan. Motivational t-shirt. Yeah, any t-shirts that kind of has great slogans of motivation. I mean, obviously, there's nothing new under the sun. King Solomon said it best, right? So we could think that we came up with something, but more than likely somewhere in the time and history of man and across the world, somebody else said it maybe in another language.
Yeah. I mean, we are just influenced by things that are in our atmosphere and in our worlds and beyond. And we get that information and we come up with what we come up with. And it's not necessarily new. But
absolutely.
But you, again, we met in Hollywood, Los Angeles years ago. You have been journeying and doing your thing, man. I've been watching you. I'm really excited and proud of your journey and what you've accomplished in your years, because in the acting world, it ain't no joke, man. It's a crazy game, right?
Absolutely.
Just to lay some background though, you were born in Brooklyn.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm the product of the projects. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, East New York, not too far away from Mike Tyson, literally down the street from him.
What?
Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then I moved to Augusta, Georgia after high school. So my mom wanted us out of New York. And so I moved to Brooklyn, from Brooklyn to Augusta. And then from Augusta, following my dreams, I relocated in Los Angeles, and now I'm back in Augusta. So it's just weird how all that works.
Yeah,
Full circle. Actually.
full circle.
Yeah.
When did you move to LA?
Oh, I moved to LA in, I would say, 97.
97.
97. I was in music. And so I had been pursuing music since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I perfected my craft in Georgia. So I had the East Coast flavor, and then I had the Southern flavor, and then I had the West Coast. So I had all the different areas. And an R&B artist named Rome came through Augusta, and I went to his show. And it was an amazing experience because I got to see how R&B artists, specifically the males, have to deal with the fans afterwards. Like in the van, and how he was feeling, because what a lot of people don't know is that R&B artists, the males, they get grabbed at a lot. If you understand what I'm saying.
Oh, really?
So a lot of times the women do actually snag onto what they're grabbing at. So I had to get this. I had to get that brother some ice. Literally, I had to get him I made a makeshift Ziploc bag, put some ice in it, and
Oh man.
bought the ice for him to put on it. So from there, he was like, he listened to my tape, and then from there, he promised me he'd fly me out to LA.
Mm-hmm.
And that happened in September when I met him, and then it was November that I was in LA, and that was the beginning of my LA journey.
That was the beginning of your LA journey, and so music was it. What kind of music were you?
Oh, I did everything. I mean, from classical to house and dance music, R&B. Like I said, the South gave me the Georgia bounce flavor, so I had that Miami bass flavor inside of me when I moved to LA. So I could do anything, and I got to do a couple of remixes in LA. Got to sit up in a bunch of record labels and manage and work with a bunch of artists, but I tell you, when I tell people the music industry, as wild as it is, I never really got caught up with it, but it's what launched me into film. So although I went out to do music and that was my objective, I swore I was gonna have a top 10 hit and win Grammys and give my mama a big house because of it. That's not what God wanted. I was going to get into film, and so now, being a director in film, all of that music experience helps me when it comes to score and soundtrack.
Yeah, so that was a building block for you, and so was, and I remember this, martial arts.
Oh yeah.
Talk about that.
Oh yeah.
How was that? Where did that fit into in your journey?
Yeah. Well, the martial arts came to me as a gift. I'd grown up in Brooklyn. At the time that I lived in Brooklyn, it was noted as one of the most dangerous cities to live in.
Oh, really?
Not New York City, but just Brooklyn, that area. They used to have a saying, a slogan was, "You got to do or die best die." And so, I was blessed, man. My mom was very big on keeping us out of the streets and everything. So martial arts came to me early after, a couple of violent incidents and some muggings. I got into martial arts and I never looked back. So with having the martial arts in my life, I realized that there was nothing that I couldn't accomplish. If I let the martial arts revolve around my life, and my life revolved around the martial arts, there was nothing I couldn't accomplish.
Yeah.
And so because, not just the physical pain, but the mental aptitude you got to have and the spiritual desire to want to be better than who you are, martial arts gives that to you. And what I saw in my journey in film and what I continue to see is the top people in it. I know you were a track runner.
Mm-hmm.
You ran track.
Yeah.
That was one of the discussions when I first met you. We talked about, you guys got to see this man's, his legs are incredible. You can't get rid of them.
I'm almost 50.
You can't get rid of them. Yeah, but they stay forever. I've met guys who would, because they train football or play, those physical attributes stay with you forever.
Yeah.
And so I had realized that the martial arts, it's one of the things that I noticed a lot of people who study martial arts, sports, and military have strong aptitude and strong discipline to be able to pursue their objectives and their dreams.
Yeah.
And so I see it now, even as an acting coach. I see the ones who I know, okay, yeah, a year from now they'll be in it, or they may not be it. One of my students, Brandon Bell, he's on foundation. He was a lacrosse player when he came to me, and look at him now. So I've noticed that was a instrument that most people would use for their form of discipline, because you figure, for me, I was like, well, I've been punched in the face, so what's getting up in front of a bunch of people, you know what I mean, who can't really physically harm me,
right.
And so it helped give me clarity on that. And to this day, I mean, I still study, I still train, and I tell people that, hey, use what you did in high school in sports, and if you're in the military, because most of our top actors are ex-sports players, or they still play.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at The Rock. The Rock was a wrestler. So,
there's a mindset that comes along with that, with the martial arts, with the sports and things like that, where I remember when I was getting my first agent, he actually looked at that and said, oh, you know the work ethic, you can actually go out there and make something happen. And just that way of being, it goes with you, and it speaks for you as well, for agents in other areas.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the greatest gift that a parent can give their child is a form and source of discipline.
Yeah.
We're not talking about corporal discipline. We're talking about discipline and helping them to know that they can do something. Kids want to. I'm not a parent, but I've seen and been around enough kids to know, as being a mentor or someone who is helping programs, the kids want to be able to have that. They want that. My years of teaching martial arts to children before I moved to Los Angeles, all of those kids are now adults with their own families, and all of them, pretty much all of my students who are black belt under me are very successful people. Shantia Norfleet was the first Black American female NASCAR driver, and she studied under me. She was, a black belt under me. So nice. When I look at that and I look at the achievements that people make, again, that's that formula for the recipe. I can, I will, I must. Those are things that we understand that we have to implement. That desire, that passion, that thought process.
Yeah, and your passion has taken you around and helped you create your own thing. As like you're talking about other people, it has also done the same thing for you. I mean, 25 plus years in Hollywood. It's no small feat. And I know you're here in Georgia, but the things that you're producing and you're creating is it's wonderful, right? And you appeared in many things. I mean, you were in the Shield. Reno.
We share that history.
Say again.
I said we share that history.
Yeah, we share that.
The audience don't know this man's an amazing actor. I think whenever he decides he wants to do it again, he'll be awesome at it.
Hey man, put me in one of your fantastic films, and I'll show up.
Absolutely.
How I Met Your Mother, Reno 911. These things that other people produce, but I'm going to get to yours at some point, because what you're creating, what you're building, and what you're laying down for the future is really amazing. But as well as being an actor, you're also a director, right?
Yes.
Those experiences that you have from those TV shows and films, like what did that bring to you on your own set?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I mean, being that I always tell people this. My mom says, "Why do you always tell that?" I said, because people need to know that there is a level of growth from people who work hard, right? So being a project kid, I was always very appreciative of anything and everything that I received. As a kid, I'd make sure I wouldn't wear out my clothes, or make sure I wouldn't break something. People would give me gifts. I used to hold on to them for years. I'm pretty sure I still got stuff when I was 15. But understanding that when you're working in one arena, right? So say, for instance, being on set, I was always over the shoulder of the director if I was capable of doing that.
Nice. Yeah.
And what I realized is that just incongruent when it comes to people in general, people want to be treated fair, man. Yeah. People want to be appreciated. and they want to be treated fair, and they want to be acknowledged, and they want to be noticed. And when I was on set, I realized that the people who would get me to work hardest for them were the ones that recognized me.
Mm.
They would say, "Oh, I saw your audition. I'm glad you were able to take the part." And they would work well with me. Like I said, we share in common the Shield. That was one of my great experiences working with Walton Goggins in the scene.
Yeah.
And just having that experience, because the director of my episode was the head DP. So that spoke volumes to me that he had chose me. And, I realized that when I do projects, I want to make sure that people know that they're appreciated, that they're acknowledged, that they have a say, that the set is fun. Time is all we really all have. That's the most tangible thing that we really have. You lose it, you don't get it back. So someone is taking the opportunity to come and be there and show up, because I love working with people who have strong integrity. Like, just show up. That's the number one thing. Then I want to make sure that experience is awesome.
Yeah.
So I was able to bring a lot of that to the art of directing and working with actors, and being able to say, okay, I got to work with my crew this way. Because if you're asking people to do stuff that's outside their normative process or their comfort zone, you got to make it a relaxed environment,
And you've worked with a lot of people, but before we get there, that leads me to something that you talked about. I don't know when you talked about this, but you talked about loyalty in Hollywood, and things have changed. But you're talking about how you brought up the Aesop fables and how people that work with their teams. I think you mentioned Seth Rogen and how they still work with their teams. They don't flake. They work through the hard times and still together and produce and create, fantastic film. Share your insight on that, and just share your insight on that first, and then I'll go to the next part.
Well, the thing that people, and I wish I knew this early on, very early in my career as an artist of any regard, business is the same in every environment. Business is the same. Spend less, make more. Make sure you set a date, execute that project by that date. Those are all things that travel across all the mediums of anything. Corporate business, medical business, the medical field. Business is business. And what I've learned is that a lot of times people don't realize that it's business. The entertainment industry, it is a personality-driven business.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So at a 9 to 5, if you're working in corporate, you can hate your staff members, right? You can hate all the staff members, right? But you either quit the job or you show up.
Right.
You see, with acting, you have to act that you like people, even if you don't like them. You understand? Now, people can say, well, we do that in corporate. No, eventually it does come out, right? It does come out. In the acting world, you don't know who you're going to work with. You have no idea who you're going to be dealing with until you get the part. So it's different than how it is when it comes to corporate. Corporate, you're showing up to a job every day. You're working to get some contracts. You're working to get different work. You're making bids. With an acting job, you don't know who your co-star, especially on television. You have no idea unless you do a reading. If you do a table read, then maybe you have an idea.
Probably, yeah.
But if you show up that day, and then you don't know how that person's going to be, right? So you show up, and next thing you know, maybe they stood out that night and got a hangover. You got to deal with that. Maybe the chick that has the part in that feature film slept with the director and got the role last week and never did a day of acting in her life. You got to put up with it.
Yeah. Story.
So to me, that's something that I tell people a lot, that you have to understand the business of the entertainment business, period, not just the acting world. It is a business of personality. You're putting up with whatever that person may feel. They could be they could have a lot of crazy idios. They could be dealing and dabbling in alcohol or drugs. They could have personal issues and they bring that to the set. You don't know, but you just have to show up, and you have to know that the project is all that matters. And of course, that's similar to how it would be in the corporate world. The project's going to keep going. You get fired, they're going to hire somebody else.
Yeah.
The business doesn't go on that you do, right? So You know,
I thought you had more because I was
yeah,
on, I was on every word. I was like, yes, yes, yes. But all that is true, and it is a business. I mean, it's like you said, personality driven. It's people don't necessarily. I think beginning actors who are wanting to the bright lights and all that kind of stuff and the fame, they may not all of them, but some of them probably don't approach it as a business. They don't see the loyalty that you can create in a team and bring professionalism to the set. So for those, just speak to the newbies or those that are interested in starting acting. What would you say to them?
well, I'll tell you when I was acting full time, and I still act,
Hmm.
but I tell people that when I was acting full time and studying in a class, competition wasn't so prevalent. It wasn't like, because most acting schools are very close to how theater is. Theater is based a certain way. So if you're in the theater, it's a community. And when you're in certain acting schools, depending on the acting school, it's a community, and everyone is a little bit supportive of each other, or they would see someone accomplish something and be like, oh man, so there's hope for me. But now it's very competitive. And so what I always tell the new generation of actors is that you have to take advantage of the benefits. And the benefits of social media. Social media has done greatness for people and has disrupted the industry in a bad way.
In a bad way.
So there are good points and bad points to it. A lot of times I tell people you can hide behind social media, but if you're keen, you can see the truth in social media, right? So the new actors, a lot of the things that we didn't have, which like the IMDb that came like maybe in my 10th year as an actor, being a relevant thing. Social media came a couple years ago. You look at the Tubi actor that people like, there's been this little thing going back and forth where this one guy mentioned Tubi actors aren't really actors. And I'm like, I know Tubi actors doing better than actors who have a manager and agent submitting them for big projects
Mhm.
because they're making their money and they understand that social media is a means to be able to build a following because marketing is key. I learned that on my last feature film.
Mhm.
I just sat down with a young brother yesterday. He just graduated high school. He's going into college, but he's been making films for the last 3 years. And he says, I want to do distribution on this new film I have. And I said, okay, well, what's the running time? And asked him all the valid questions. And I said, what's your marketing plan like? And he looked at me. He says, oh, I got TikTok. I said, how's your Facebook looking? Oh, I'm not on Facebook. How's your Instagram looking? I'm not on Instagram. And I said, well, now guess what? You got to do all of them because each one has a different age grouping
Yeah,
and
that is
classification,
very true.
right?
That is very
And so I was able to do over 6 million views on A New Life primarily because I understood my audience, number one, and I sat my behind down in the chair and did the marketing.
okay. See,
So for the new actors, bear in mind, you have all the tools you need and all the resources you need. Exhaust them.
you had Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely exhaust them. I think just in a business standpoint, that's what I'm learning too. Because first of all, like I said, I'm almost 50, right? And you mentioned back in the day, we didn't have all the things that they have today because the way that we had to market ourselves was either showing up in the rooms where they showed up, or our headshots and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know exactly how it is now, except that social media has played a part in transitioning Hollywood to or Black Hollywood into what it is now. Um, where do you see the future of Hollywood or the arts? All right, family, quick pause right here because I need to tell you about something powerful we're doing that I know is going to shift somebody's life. Me, am hosting a live 60-minute workshop called Alignment Reset 2026. And if you've been feeling scattered, overwhelmed, or like you're running on the old patterns that no longer fit who you're becoming, this workshop is for you. Now, this isn't motivation, this isn't hype. This is a real reset. grounded, intentional, and aligned with the work we do right here on the Thrival Journey. So, for 1 hour on December 7th, I'm going to walk you through how to clear the noise, recenter your identity, and step into 2026 as the most aligned version of you. And because this is the first time I'm doing it live, I'm offering a special launch rate of $47 where it would normally be $97. Plus, every attendee gets free access to my full 10-session program, the Alignment Shift course, Surviving to Creating. And that alone is a game changer. So if you are ready to stop living inside the old patterns, if you're ready to get grounded, get clear, and get aligned before the new year hits, join us. So go to the link in the show notes and visit my stand store to save your spot. I cannot wait to see you there.
Well, the danger right now is AI, obviously. But AI's been around for a while. AI was a strong aspect of the industry for a while, and people didn't know that. A lot of the films that had been released were released through studios that were using software to analyze who would be the best person to cast and who do we go to in order to make this film, how to assign the right director, what's the numbers. It was an actual software that was floating around that was doing the work for the producers.
Didn't know that.
The visual artistic aspect of AI, I was just talking to my manager today, and I said, there's a point that people will bore themselves because they don't understand human behavior. Human behavior is, you look at the first rock star. The first rock star was Jesus Christ, right? Everybody wanted to be around him. They wanted to touch him. They wanted him to give them something. They wanted him to make them feel a certain way. And so human beings by nature love following people and love seeing people. So, okay, you got the social media. If you make and create an AI character, that's great. But the other aspect of human beings, because we're base creatures, right? The base needs, the wants and desires, eat, sleep, go to the bathroom, make love, all these things. The base aspect of a human being still is to find something to get into and to find something and someone to follow. So there's a reason why, people always say, well, Hollywood is dead, films are dead. Really? Okay, explain Terrifier 3. And they go, what do you mean? And I've sat in rooms talking to people who I wanted to help me fund my film. And they go, oh, your numbers are off. And I'm like, are they? And I'm like, Terrifier 3 was a film that cost $1 million to make, $500,000 to market and to do P&A for.
Mm-hmm.
It made over $93 million. It rang the bell. The clown rang the bell at NASDAQ. If you can't explain that, then you don't really understand that the model is what it's always been. It's giving people what they want.
Yeah.
And so you can't create an AI art to clown and have it ring NASDAQ. Here's my point. Okay. People want to meet what they see on television. We've all been that way. It's been like that since the beginning of time. In vaudeville, people wanted the celebrity to come back to their city and their town.
Mm-hmm.
That's who we are. We want to be around greatness.
Right.
We're going to have AI basketball players, AI boxers. It's just, so I always tell people, don't fear. It's going to play itself out. I firmly believe that. Now, having AI as a tool, yeah, absolutely. I'm big on that. Help me with my scheduling, help me with my budgeting, help me with my storyboarding. Absolutely. Help me with Chat GPT to write up a brief or something. Sure. But replacing a human, no. Even the art that you see, like some of the videos, it's still lifeless. And people go, man, this looks real. Keyword, look real.
But it's not real. Yeah.
You can't satiate your hunger with a bagel that's not real.
That's well said. I get that. That actually speaks to a little bit where people are creating these Chat GPTs, or not Chat GP, but the AI as like love interest. Like, and you use the word satiate. Like, you cannot fulfill something that can't be fulfilled without another human.
Yeah,
or
absolutely
actual things in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, society has groomed people to be that way. We live in a fast food society. Everything is fast food,
Mm-hmm.
right? You want it quicker, bigger, better, uh, you know, tastier. Everything is fast food, and our attention span is short. It's always been short, and it's gotten shorter.
Mm.
With AI, people are able to disconnect themselves more, but the key is knowing you have to come back. You know, it's kind of like a vacation. You got to come back. You
Yeah.
can't, you can go and, oh, this is awesome. The reality of the world, you won't be able to function because the powers that be, yeah, they're introducing AI, they're introducing a lot of, of the transhumanism stuff, but still the spiritual aspect is important.
Yeah.
You can't build again, like you got to have a team. You got to have, I had to learn what that was to collaborate. And now even major companies, that's how they're working with people. They're collaborating. The word collaborate is the number one word. We'd love to collaborate with you. We'd love to work together. It's saving them tons of money in advertising and marketing. If I get someone who's on social media and they have 3 million fans or they have 1 million fans, and normally what it would cost for me to make a commercial would have been maybe 250,000,
Mm-hmm.
$500,000. And now I'm paying this guy 5,000, maybe $10,000 and sending them free product. And then maybe if I need to do some additional work, I get some AI to do some stuff, some footage or some posters or something. Look how much money I've saved.
Yeah.
And so that's where we're going. But at the same time, once you do meet and greets, because people want to get outside, they want to go somewhere, right? That's why you'll always have, these expos.
Mm-hmm.
You have like Essence Expo and, all the different expos. People want to get out and meet who they're buying from. It's not going to be an AI person that you're going to feel, again, you want to feel appreciated, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's the human experience that we're remembering, that no matter what, the human experience is you have to live.
You have to live. I mean, there's an automatic way of being for human beings is to connect. And AI and all that good stuff, there is a place for it, but I don't really feel and believe that people should have that take place of, human nature, human ways of being, because connection, it's a needed thing, 100%.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think people bank on trends. We're very trendy as a culture. The world is, not just America, but the world is very trendy.
Mm.
What's hot, what's not, what's new, what's the scandal. Yeah. What the iPhone company, right, proves that. Every year the new iPhone. What's wrong with the last one I had?
Probably nothing.
Well, nothing. How is it better? Well, it's got more. It's got more things. I tell you, I had bought a car a couple of years back, 2018. I bought a car, and everyone was telling me to lease it, and I leased it. Right? They were like, it's smart to lease it, builds your credit, it helps you out. I said, okay, great, I lease it. And then I went to the car dealership, and they were like, your car is better than the car that's out now. The only difference is that the technology. So they said, every year we're looking to increase better technology in something that has nothing to do with taking you back and forth.
Yeah, I understand.
The car is taking you back and forth, but they look at it as, well, people spend their time in their car, so how can we make the car more like their house? Because most people don't even live in their house. They have beautiful homes and they barely spend time there. Again, you go back to the base need of human beings. They want to be out. They want to be, go to any main street in any city on a Saturday night. People are out. Mm-hmm. Or Saturday morning, people are out and about. They don't want to be home all day.
Right.
So that human interaction that we're talking about, it's understanding how humans are. That, yeah, you can have an AI boyfriend or girlfriend, but so what? What's that going to do? How you going to play it off and show it off to everybody?
It's a weird concept. I had a guy on, Nick Jane. He deals with AI and he has this wonderful company that he started. And, I mean, it was almost like we'll have the conversation. It was like, they were actually creating AI to make sure they dated it was dateable to human beings. I was like, I don't know about that, man. He was like,
people want their basic needs met.
Yeah.
And we were groomed to that. That's not something that, the nuclear family has been destroyed, right? So we live more in an environment where people, like I said, they want that fast food, and relationships are a thing that sometimes for some people, I think where people made their mistake is, especially dealing with either the churches or dealing with people who are, in their sense, morally justified in how they see things. People made their mistakes in realizing that some people just aren't geared up for relationships, right?
Yeah.
And so the truth of that is that they go through these scenarios where things are not working. It's just falling apart all the time, right? Either through self-sabotage or they just were groomed to believe that they would make the best spouse. And what happens is that AI is something where it comes in and it fills that need, and people get lost in the thought that thinking that, okay, well, this is the way it is for me. No. You don't even need AI. You just need to get back to yourself and find a way to appreciate self. Self-appreciation is lost in this day and age. And one of the things that I teach actors now is knowing that there is a greatness in all of us, and you recognize the greatness in others that recognize the greatness in you. So thereby you'll find your team of people who can work close with you and collaborate, that word again, buzzword, and build, because we're creatures of wanting to build. That is who we are.
Yeah. And you are a creature of building your world in film and TV. And I want to talk about and I can never say it. Is it Dark
Con Entertainment? Yeah,
Dark
Con,
right?
Yeah, Dark Con. Yeah,
it's an independent film and media production company, right?
Yes.
And you have created some films that that are doing great things, right? So your mission, I'm reading here, is to bring quality media, filmmaking, and content to film and television. And one of your latest film, I believe, is A New Life, right? Is that the latest one? Okay. You mentioned it earlier. It had 6 million streams, and you won awards.
Yes.
Talk about that journey from beginning to where it's at now.
Yeah. Well, I wrote the film. It's 25 years old actually at this point, but I wrote it over 25 years ago. I wrote it in 2000, and I just, at that time, if you remember, there wasn't many great roles for black male actors at all. Like, we were getting Good Will Hunting in class. Bobby was giving us stuff that her husband wrote,
Yeah.
and
it was so, well, before you move on, it was, now that you brought that up, I was having thoughts about that. Like, it was a great class, right? But the roles that we were getting, I would always look at it, at what the roles that she was giving us. And it was just so, like, one time, not one time, but multiple times, I got I'm pretty sure you did too, the Samuel L. Jackson role, that, and of course we put our own spin on it, but it's such a classic movie in Pulp Fiction, classic role, that, how do you switch that from people not thinking about, Samuel L. Jackson? And what I love about what you're doing is you're creating these other films that are really shine a new light on Black film and Black men. And
yes.
So go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
It's right.
No. I'm bringing back memories.
Yes,
Jump in anytime. I remember you performing it. You nailed it. You. That's kind of what brought my attention to you, because I remember I was like, oh, he's kind of switching it up. The way you had did it was different.
Yeah.
But it worked. I mean, you would come out that door, and I was like, whoa, And I remember how many times she wanted you to play that character, because that's how Bobby was, and Larry was same way. God rest his soul. But with A New Life, I realized, I said, I want. It was at a time where there was nothing but like gang member roles, and I mean, to get something of substance for a black male actor in the 90s, all the roles went to Morris Chestnut and Taye Diggs,
Right.
and Ty Pfeiffer. They got all the great roles. So us up and coming actors, we in class doing Goodwill Hunting, and any ethnicity. I used to hate that on auditions, all ethnicities, and it's like, no, that means I'm not getting it because
Right.
they're not really looking for somebody black. They're just being inclusive.
Yeah.
So I wrote it. I wrote it like in 3 months. It was my actual first script that I wrote by myself. I had wrote a previous script with someone else, and I wrote it, and I said, I'm going to get this made. And I ran around meeting with people. I gave a copy of it to Lisa Ray. I was looking for Morris Chestnut. Everybody was like, oh yeah, go here. Morris Chestnut is here. And I'd go there and wait all day. He wouldn't be there.
Oh, wow.
And then I hear, oh, Morris Chestnut showed up. I was like, oh man. So for years I was looking to get him attached to it, and it didn't work out. So I just put it to the side. One of the things as being a writer and being a creative and someone who builds is you don't stop on one project. I was telling my mom, she said, how many scripts do you have? And I got to 10, and I was like, wait a minute, I got more. And then I got to like 16. I was like, how many more do I have? So I just put it to the side. And then right before COVID, 2019, which was one of the best years for me, it was like, man, I said, I want to do this film. I had met an actor in my class who I was coaching, Chris Rouse, and I said, I think you could play this role, and I think we can make this for, $100K, make it a micro budget film, and we can make it. And so we went looking for the money and everything, and then COVID hit. Bow.
Yeah.
So there was no SAG. We were on lockdown, and my actors, I took everything online for a while, but I was like, this doesn't work. So we said, you know what, let's just make this film. Let's make it. We have the technology that we need, a black magic camera. We can come out of our own pockets. Everybody went and got wardrobe, and we made the film. We shot it in 16 days. I'll never forget. The next day I moved back to Georgia to be with my mom to help her out. But I took the film with me and I edited it. It took me a couple of months to edit it, and I got distribution locked in.
That's magnificent right there. People don't understand how, first of all, the editing process is nuts, right? And that process is nuts. You're doing it on your own, and then you turn around and you get distribution.
Yeah, it's editing. I've met more editors than DPs who said that they don't want to edit.
I edit this. Well, I edited the podcast, then I outsourced it, and then I was like, let me take it back because I didn't like. He was fine, but I wanted a different thing, and it would have cost more. So I was like, let me bring that back. And actually, I'm ready to give it away again.
Yeah, it's a lonely job. It really is. Yeah. To me, it's one of the loneliest jobs. Which working with AI and putting in prompts reminds me of that. Waiting for it to render, and I'm like, nah, I'm probably gonna always be a hands-on guy. So
yeah.
After the edit, once I got the distribution, then there was that, getting the film ready to be released and handling all the deliverables, because it was a no budget film and I had to, do most of the work. That film opened up a lot of my life for me. It just, the experiences, I've always been blessed that the experiences that I've had from the films that I've made have opened up different aspects of life for me and gave me great experiences. Black Lightning, Tobias's Revenge took me to Cannes. A New Life got me an NAACP Image Award nomination. So, it's always funny to see people wonder, like, how did you get here?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the work actually does it for you.
Yeah, you put the grit in. I'm going to talk about Black Lightning, but you were nominated with the NAACP Image Award, but then you also got, I have notes here. You got, so you got the 2024 NAACP Image Award as a nominee of that one, but then you got a Writers Award.
Yes. The World Entertainment Award.
World Entertainment, there it is.
Yes.
How'd you feel when you got that, man? Like, talk to me about, because that's an accolade. I mean, you put the work in, and it is what it is, but then you put it out and then you get an accolade for all the work that you put in.
Yeah. I mean, if anyone tell you awards, like winning awards aren't fun, they're lying to you. Right. Like, it's always great to, we come up in a culture of wanting to win, of wanting to receive, of needing to have. And I thought I didn't get it because I was nominated opposite someone else, and she was in two categories.
Mm.
And I knew her from a festival that we shared in Vegas, where it was the Las Vegas Action Film Festival or something like that for Black Lightning. So she remembered me all the way back then. Her name's Amy McCorkle, and they called her name when they said, "Oh, for best writing," blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Right, and I was like, okay, okay, Amy, because she had told me choices, and she said, if I don't win, I want you to win.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, thank you. And I thought she won. So all of the, I don't get nervous, but I do get anxious, and all the anxiousness left my body and everything. And I was just sitting there. I almost got up and went to the bathroom, and then they called out two other awards, and then they said for best writer, choice kid. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. And I forgot that she was nominated for Best Writing Award and Best Writer. And so I thought that she had beat me out, but I won for Best Writer. She won for Best Writing.
Oh, that's great.
And so I was just like, oh, man, and so, yeah, that was a moment. That was a moment because, a lot of times if you win an award, you go up on the podium, you don't get to say anything. And this was the same month that the fires happened in LA. And some of the people I knew was affected by it. So I got to shout them out. And just, I write my speeches. I don't play it off the cuff because I don't want to say the wrong thing and miss anybody's name.
Yeah.
But it was a moment for sure. It felt great.
Well, much more to come, I know, because
thank you.
Absolutely. Because I mean, so you started, and I know this is like your first film. Was it Wingman?
Wingman Inc. Yeah, that was my first feature film.
First feature film. And I move on, and I'm seeing. Now, did you write? Let me see what I got here. Did you write? What was that? Keep the Faith.
Yeah, Keep the Faith, and that's still in the editing phase. Like every year, I'm telling myself I'm going to pull it out, blow the dust off of it, because it still looks amazing. Like I shot it well.
Yeah.
That was when I picked the camera up and shot it myself, and it looks amazing. I just used the right science to keep it where it wouldn't be lost and outdated. So that'll come soon enough.
That'll come soon enough. Black Lightning to Vice's Revenge. Okay, so I remember when you were posting some things about this. I think there may be clips or shorts or something. I was like, dang, man, he did it. He's doing it. Like, that's exciting. Like, first of all, being a superstar hero. Like that's how was that whole experience?
Yeah, I give a lot of credit to James and Black, man. That kid, he's not a kid. He's like my mentee, and he's a younger version of me, but on a better level when it comes to artistic vision. We had just came off of doing Keep the Faith. We had some special effects in there that had VFX that had to be done in there that would have cost us $30,000 that we didn't have. And so I said, man, we need to get Hollywood's eyes on us. We need to make something that people are going to be blown away for. Well, that was the horizon of superhero films. And so there was a point where everyone was doing fan films, a lot of fan films, and getting noticed by Hollywood, get bigger budgets for films and stuff. So I said, well, we should do a fan film. And I'm like, it's got to be something good. It's got to be a hero that nobody knows about or seen. And so it was Black Lightning. And because I used to read a lot of comics. And I said, I wanted him to come in as Static. So he came in, we wrote the script together, and then we just started shooting it. We was like, let's just shoot it. Got all my actors out of class. And I said, if you get the wardrobe, you get to be in, and I'll give you a character. And the doors just bust open from that, right? We didn't get a lot of attention from the industry like we wanted. And I think a lot of that had to do with marketing. Like, I think if we had some money for marketing, then maybe that would have made a difference. But we were 2 years in just handling the VFX. And the announcement for Black Lightning TV series came out. So what we did, we was like, we got to be the ones to come out with it first.
Yeah.
We rushed and finished out half of it, put it out as a first episode, and then finished the second half before the series dropped and put out the second episode. And then we made the full fan film out, short film, and we started going on our festival run, and we did phenomenal. Like I say, we got put in Cannes, that in itself, to get on a plane and go all the way to Europe for something that you created.
Yeah.
I still have a lot of pride for that. People today look at it and hit me up on YouTube and say, "This is what the show should have been."
Nice. Okay. Nice. So it took you to Cannes, however you want to pronounce it, right? What was that experience like being there?
Yeah. It was weird. I told my mom, I said, "Hey, Mom, I'm going to Cannes." And she was like, "Whoa, Paris." And I said, "I didn't say I was going to Paris. I'm going to Cannes."
It's a little soft.
And then I realized she wanted to go. So I called her back and I said, "Do you want to go?" And so what I did was I made all these business plans to handle while I was in Cannes. And then I said I would take her to France, to Paris at the end of the week, which I did. We did like 2 days in Paris and then we came back to Cannes. And
Beautiful.
then I finished out the leg of work. But it was an experience. It was an experience. I mean, people say that that's the epicenter of getting your film made. And I'm like, I wouldn't say that. Maybe at one point, because people were going in to make money and make deals. And I met with some people and they shook my hand and they, said that they were interested and stuff, but nothing ever transpired from it. But I could say the same about being here in the States. No matter how much flack I got from the film being what it was and the awards that I won and the attention that I got, it still didn't open up doors for me. So there's a point where as a filmmaker, you say to yourself, okay, why am I doing this? It's no different as an actor. I've met people who were acting, had great careers and said they wanted to quit and left and went and did something else. You have to know why you want to do it. And again, my objective or agenda, as many as they are in Hollywood, is I want people to see Black men in the positive light. Even with the negativity that could be in a character, that there is a redemptive theme revolving around it.
Yeah.
And so I think I did that for Black Lightning, and I got a lot of applause from people who know the real character of Black Lightning because they said your interpretation. I tell you, the greatest gift that I got was someone made up a mock-up of Black Lightning in different platforms. Black Lightning, the TV show, Black Lightning, my fan film, Black Lightning, the video game, Black Lightning, the comic. And I was like, wow, that almost brought a tear to my eye because I'll be known as Black Lightning.
Nice. That had two questions that just went split just like that in my head, man. One, what the first question is, why is it important to you? And I would have my own answer, and I could probably think of what you're going to say, but why is it important to you to produce film that put Black men in a positive light, in a different level of what's been shown in the past?
Yeah, listen, we're not perfect by any means. I mean, a man in a suit has the same pain and energy and love and desire as a man in a do-rag and jeans hanging around his behind. But the difference is that the world sees us a specific way.
Right.
And I'll tell you this, I'll segue this right into my trip to Cannes. When I went to Cannes, when you get off at Heathrow and you go and you take another plane, and then when you get off, you go into Germany before you go take another plane. And in Germany, when you go through the customs area, the German men sit up on these platforms and they look down at you. That's just the way they made it. I don't know if it's still like that, but it was like that for me in 2017. And they look down on you. And basically what happens is they give, especially I noticed that how they were treating Black men in particular when we were walking up to them. And they would look at you like passport, you put it up there and they look at it and they look at you, with an arm like, German guy, And then for me, my passport says Choice James Harrell Skinner. So he took James Skinner and he looked up on the phone and he said he didn't see. He looked up on his personal phone and said, you don't see. And I'm like, oh, you put in James Skinner, you got to put in Choice Skinner. And he puts in Choice Skinner, and 5 pages of Google show up on me, and he was like, "Oh, because I told him, I said, I'm going to Cannes. I'm a director. And that's when he picked up the phone and was like, you ain't no director.
Yeah.
And then that's when I told him, and I kept telling my mom, because she was like, that's right, my son Black Lightning. And I said, don't say nothing. My point is because,
right.
yeah, several times that I've been overseas. Another time when I did a film called Transylvania, and they flew me over. I was the American stunt team coordinator, and I flew over there, and I went out of my hotel, going to the store. It was nighttime, and I'm walking past these Romanian kids. It's a group of them, about 6 of them. And in my mind, I'm like, oh man, I had on my bomber, my boots. I'm East Coast minded at that point. It's cold, snowing, and I'm like, these cats want to try something.
Right.
I'm ready for them. Right? I walk by them, and one of them looks at me. He goes, throws his arms up, because I said, I know they're gonna say something to me. He recognized that I was an American, because when you're overseas, they'll go African or they'll say French, because, they'll think that, we have Black people over there. And he said, nigga, my nigga.
Oh,
and I said,
have mercy. Oh, what?
And he was like, take me with you to America. And he thought my response was going to be, yo, MTV. He thought my response was going to be BET. And I said, see, this is why I do what I do. He didn't come and say, let's work together and make some money.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, he wanted to go and party. He wanted to go and hang out, see some girls. And, I said, nah, man. I was like, hey, gave him a hug and everything, all of them. It was like 3 girls and 4 boys. And I was like, wow. I said, so this is why I do what I do.
Yeah.
Because the world sees us as how America portrays us.
Yeah. And America itself is a strong power in the world.
The most influential.
And
we as a culture, Black people, are the most influential culture on the planet. So if you see the negative aspect of who we are more than you see any form of positivity, that's how their perception is. They can't help it. That's, it's just the way it is. When you're over in other countries, the television that they play is usually either old or late, or the channels that are out there.
Yeah.
So if the channel that they get is MTV, and who we are on MTV, they see us that way, that's how they're going to perceive us.
That's how they perceive us. Yeah. 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 I didn't have an experience like that over there, but you could tell the perception that they have of us. And your guy, his introduction to you was,
yeah,
that's
he thought he had the right because of the information that was fed to him.
Yeah,
he didn't, and he wasn't meaning it. I could tell genuine energy. It was very genuine, and he meant well by it. He meant well by it. Now, obviously, I'm not the person to be moved by words, and so I can read it quick. I'm just like, as long as my life is not in jeopardy, we good,
Yeah.
But it, couple of hugs and some handshakes that they wanted, and I'm on my way. They wanted to go to New York, man. They wanted to, listen to the rappers and smoke weed, and
that's wild. That is wild.
Far from who I am, it's like,
yeah,
I wouldn't know where the plug is at.
Right. I'll be like, hey man, you got the wrong one, bro. That's wild, but completely believable. Oh my God. So you have this company and you're putting out this great product, these good products. What's your hope for your company and how it affects the future?
Yeah. Lately I've been more into empowering others. I think the future, and I tell this to people because I said I'm investing, I believe a real investment is never in the idea or the product, but it's in the people behind the idea.
Mm-hmm.
And so the reason why you see companies go under or people go under a lot is because they don't create a strong web. They create networks,
mm-hmm.
but never strong webs. And so I've been investing a lot of my energy and time into people who I see great qualities in that I know will keep moving things. And, with Dark Hunt Entertainment, I want to eventually get to a point where I'm doing 2 films a year. And it doesn't have to be me directing or me producing, I can empower someone else. I think that's where things will start to change. You see that happening in some of these other people's briefs lately. But is it genuine? See, the thing is you don't want to control so much the people who are making stuff. You want to empower them and inform them that there is power in media. And so for me, all of the films that I have lined up, whether it's sci-fi, I mean, I've been it's weird. I constantly get pushed into making comedies, man. It's like I want to do some action so bad. I got a film called And Then You Die. At the beginning of this year, there were people interested, financial people, and all of that fell through once the fires happened. So
Okay.
Jamal Lewis, who's the star of it, he and I have been running around asking people about it. But then this other film that I wrote with two other actors, the Fincher cousins, Dylan Fincher and Willis Fincher, they have like a Seth Rogen, Judd Apatow type of sense of humor. So I got with them. We wrote the script, and we're shooting at September.
Mm.
So, for me, I want to. The hope you said is to be able to have the financial means to either make micro budget films or to move up to another level where I'm making films, 5 million and under. That would be sublime, because then there's stories that I'd love to tell. The Henry Johnson story about Henry Johnson from the Harlem Hellfighters. People don't know the G.I. Joe, the actual G.I. Joe figure, the doll, was based off of Henry Johnson.
See, I heard the name was like, I've heard the name before, but okay. So that's what I think is so important, man. Those stories actually being out in the world so people can actually get that kind of history.
Yeah. See so much more of who we are, because we are intellectual. We do provide for our families. We do love our families. We do, strive to be articulate. We strive to be mentally apt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And mentally informed. We do have conversations of brilliance. It's not just, cats cut up sometimes. They do their things, but we're professional, no different than any other culture. We are professional.
Yeah.
And I want people to see that. And we are sacrificial in a sense of we'll do what it takes to take care of our families. We're not just deadbeat dads. We're not just, thugs or, as they see us, and it's a battle. It's a battle because a lot of times the culture themselves don't want to see it. They'll take muck before they'll take anything inspirational. You see Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan making something like Sinners, which had history in it, and it showed people coming together and doing certain types of things, even though it was a horror.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who wouldn't want to do that? Kill two birds with one stone. You're entertaining the masses and you're giving a great message.
Yeah.
One of the biggest films of the year. Doing better than these other films that cost more money to make.
Right. And giving them some education.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I see big things on the horizon for you. And are you working, you just named one of the films that you're working on. Was there something else that I looked up that you had going on as well?
Yeah. I mentioned And Then You Die. It's ready to go. We're still just working on locking in some finance for that. But until that happens, again, I didn't want to leave out 2025 without making something. Every year I make something, whether it's a short or a feature. And I'd rather be able to make 2 features a year. But this year I said, okay, well, we're in the end of third quarter, going into the fourth quarter.
Right.
I said, so September, I'm going to. I have a whole bunch of companies already sponsoring me,
Nice,
providing me with the tools that's needed. I have the tools. We don't have the money, but we have the tools, and I have the talent that I've coached. And so we're just going to get together and we're just going to make it. And we're going to shoot when we can. I mean, if it's 3 days in chunks, then that's what we'll do. And we'll find, $100 here, $50,000 there. Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
But the objective is to have a completed feature film that is compatible in the market to go theatrical.
Yeah.
Not just to say, oh, we're going to throw it on Tubi. And that's great if you do that. But you still got to have a great marketing plan.
Yeah.
The films that people talk about the most, more people gravitate to and see. There's a level of importance, right? It's like going up to the nightclub. If they don't know you, you're standing out front like everybody else, but the other people walk straight in. So for me, with this film, I know that I have to make it so good that it looks like a film that was made for $2 million. And then a strong marketing plan. But that we're starting on that now, and with some of the sponsors, they're excited and they're seeing, But I learned all of this from A New Life. Again, like I was telling someone yesterday, I said, "Listen, my film has 6 million views. That's nothing. There's almost 9 billion people on the planet, and they haven't all seen it."
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's how my mind works.
No, I understand.
Everybody's got to see it. You know,
That's good.
And I tell people, when you make something, if you make a short, know that there's a 2 to 3 year process with that short, and if you make a feature, there's a 3 to 4 year process.
Yeah.
I'm still now online. People say, "What's good to watch?" A New Life, and I put the poster in their comments, and that's why I say Facebook is still important, because there's a lot of people on Facebook groups that are still communicating that way. Some people don't like Instagram or TikTok.
Right.
I'm barely on TikTok. I'm like, I do it because I got to post, but I'm barely on there.
It's fast. It's fast. Well, one of my aims, I don't know, it's like more of like a 5, 6, 7 year aim, is why I'm so driven in my own business, my company, and building it, is because I want to be an investor in film, because that is my first love. That is my love, But I saw a bigger picture for me, to be able to support arts and entertainment, and that's what I'm working on. But if a role does come this way, no. But,
When you reached out to me, that's what I said. I'm planning on shooting, and then you die in Atlanta, so it's nothing for you to come on through and to grace the screen with your presence. What's a great actor? Great actor. I don't believe in rust. People say, "Oh, I'm rusty." I'm like, there's no such thing. I had an actor. He took 2 years off and went and toured and backpacked across Europe and came right back and went right to work. I'm like, that wouldn't have happened back in the 90s. You disappear. That's it.
That's it.
You're done for.
But whole different time.
I guess he found himself, brother. I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
So.
It's just like, it's when you got balance, once you get balance, you got it. You can't lose it, And I think that's the same thing with acting. And this has been an incredible conversation with you. I mean, I don't want to quit, but we're past the hour, but this has been tremendous to catch up with you, to see what's going on with you, to see that you're continually building, you're thriving, and you're doing magnificent things in the world, not only for yourself but for people. And you've always been that, being a supporter of people, and you're still coaching.
Yeah. We have class every Monday night. The classes be dark for the month of September because most of those actors are in the movie. So
there you go. You're doing your job.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very big on giving people an opportunity, and I'm a firm believer of in word and deed. That's something that I use a lot, and people need to take account of that. When people say, "Hey, I care about you, I love you," but they go and they jump in their Ferrari and drive off, and you're still waiting on the bus. Do they really care?
Yeah, right.
I'll say this to your audience. I'll never forget this. You gave me a ride one night. I didn't have a way home after class, and I never forget that. Never forget that. And we used to get out late. We used to get out like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, class was an amazing class that night. Bobby, for whatever reason, it was a big class. I think it was a Tuesday night. Everybody wanted to get on Thursday because there were some agencies coming. And so it was a crowded night. We didn't get to do our scenes till late. And we stayed to the bitter end. And I was like, the buses aren't running. And this was before the age of having cell phone technology where you can, text someone or call. That long before that. It was for, remember that? And I said, there is no one to call. And everybody else who I would have asked left. And I was like, there's no way I can walk to where I stayed.
No,
it was like 2:30 in the morning. It was like me, you, and 2 other girls, I think. And they were driving together. And I was like, I don't want to ask them because I think one of them think I want to hit on her. So,
Oh,
and then I was like, maybe this brother will. And I asked you, you was like, yeah, come on. And I tell that story to my actors still to this day.
Mm.
I said, people have no idea the power that they have over a moment. Because you could have been like, no, I got to go to work. I'm, sorry, that's too far out. You took me home. And I never forget that.
bless you, man. But that's the kind of energy that you have, and that's what you give as well. And, again, man, I'm just really excited about where you are in life and what you're continuing to do. As your last words on this podcast this time, and what's on your heart, on your mind that you would like to share?
Yeah, I think persistence is key. I think what I've learned personally, because people ask me, do you have moments of doubt? And I said, no, those moments are gone. Like I don't doubt anything anymore. But what I realize is that, am I in the moment? And like truly, when you're in acting class, a class can say acting is about moments, living realistically and truthfully and honestly in a moment. I take it further than that. It's like, what does this moment do for me when I'm going to be 70, if I live that long, and I'm sitting by myself? Is it going to be a fond memory? Is it going to be something that I flippantly just didn't pay attention to, or is it going to be something that really matters to my heart? And I'm learning to live moments like that. And I think if anybody's watching this, learn to do that. Like not stop and smell the roses because you can stop and smell the roses and the dog pisses on you. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying in self, because that's where it starts.
Mm.
Are you really in the moments? Are you really present?
Mm.
And that's what I'd leave, because I don't really want anything. Like people say, what do you want? I don't want anything. Like I want to make movies, obviously, but if it doesn't get made, well, there's nothing out of life that I want. And I feel like I am already successful. I don't believe in money as being the gauge of success.
Right.
I firmly do not believe that. If you showed up and you did what you said you were going to do, you were successful. You are successful. You made it a day. Some people didn't, And so I would leave with that. Just, being in the moment, like truly being in the moment, being present and appreciating the moment, no matter how bad you may feel things are.
Yeah. Good word. Good word. Joyce, we're going to put all your information below, but how do people get in contact with you? How do investors give you money so you can produce your films that you want to get produced?
Absolutely. If you're watching, you got some money, hit me up. Let's make something happen. You can reach me at Instagram, Darkon2000, Darkan 2000. On my YouTube, it's Darkon ENT. My Twitter is Darkon ENT. Yes, I'm still on there too. Darkan ENT. My TikTok is Darkon2000. And my Facebook is Choice J Skinner. You can go to my website as well, darkonent.com. Darkanent.com.
Perfect. And our question.
And I'm on LinkedIn. Got to start pushing LinkedIn more.
LinkedIn.
I got a lot of good things. Yeah. Just look for Troy Skinner. I'm on there. I converse daily with people.
Nice. All right. And we'll put all the information in the description below. And the question of the day is, what's one bold move you're making this year to own your voice or build your purpose-driven path, like Choice has done and is doing? And as we always say around this time, let's make thriving our new normal. And we'll talk to you next week.